Shedeur Sanders is turning heads, and Andrew Berry just shut down every single person who thought this was a tank job. The Browns denied the tank rumors, but G. Bush just dropped a fact so shocking it changes everything you thought you knew about the quarterback battle in Cleveland. One blockbuster trade, one Hall of Fame departure, one young quarterback standing at the center of a franchise at a crossroads, and a father named Coach Prime who just said something about his son that no one saw coming. What happens next in Cleveland isn't just a storyline. It's the beginning of something that could define an entire generation of Browns football. And the question everyone is really asking, with Myles Garrett gone, is Shedeur Sanders finally about to get his moment? June 1st, 2026. A Monday that Cleveland Browns fans will never forget. In a move that sent shockwaves across the entire NFL, the Cleveland Browns officially traded Myles Garrett, their franchise cornerstone, their reigning Defensive Player of the Year, a man who set the single-season sack record with 23 sacks in 2025, to the Los Angeles Rams. In return, Cleveland received defensive end Jared Verse, a 2027 first-round pick, a 2028 second-round pick, and a 2029 third-round pick. Sometimes in the NFL, even the greatest players get caught in the collateral damage of decisions made long before their time. And in Cleveland, that decision had a name. That decision had a number. That decision had a $230 million fully guaranteed contract. That decision was Deshaun Watson. Less than 24 hours after one of the most seismic trades in modern NFL history, Andrew Berry walked up to a microphone and faced the music. And the very first question, the one every Browns fan wanted answered, was simple and direct. Are you tanking? Mary Kay Cabot, one of the most respected voices in Cleveland Browns media. Fans were spiraling. Social media was on fire.
Fans and people thinking that this move means you guys are tanking. What can you tell the fans about that? And then also, like a corollary to that would be, does this mean that Denzel could possibly be on the trading block now, or can you address that?
I guess I'd say two things. I'd say number one, all of our goals are still in front of us. We have an excellent defense with really good players at on three levels, and Jared, he's an outstanding. He's one of the best players in the league, and so we're excited to have him as a part of our team. To the second part of your question, I guess I'd maybe clarify your line of question, Mary Kay, in the sense that Myles wasn't on the trading block. We weren't auctioning him off. This is not something that was a primary consideration going into the spring.
Andrew, I know quarterback's always the topic, but you look at Myles, obviously his biggest asset. You see any way, get the first pick, how that can help you ultimately solve the quarterback issue.
Yeah, I understand and respect the question. We're way too premature to figure out how we're going to deploy that asset. We've got an entire season to play. We've got a group of players that we're really excited to see this fall, and we'll deal with 2027 and 2026.
The narrative was already forming. The Browns weren't just rebuilding. They were deliberately tanking to chase a top pick, and more specifically, they were chasing Arch Manning in the 2027 NFL Draft. Berry didn't flinch. I would say, number one, all of our goals are still in front of us, Berry said firmly. Now here's where it gets interesting. Because whether you believe Berry or not depends entirely on how you read the tea leaves of what's happening in Cleveland right now. Now let's talk about the moment that really set the internet ablaze. Garrett Bush, one of the most respected and straight-talking voices in Browns media, stepped in front of his microphone and said what a lot of people were quietly thinking but weren't willing to say out loud. And he didn't dress it up, he didn't soften the edges, he went straight for it. There is no universe, not one single universe, in which starting Deshaun Watson right now makes any sense for the Cleveland Browns. And when you hear his reasoning, it's hard to argue. Bush's point was this. The premise of a quarterback competition between Watson and Shedeur Sanders was built on a specific foundation. That foundation was Myles Garrett. The idea was, we're still trying to win. We still have an elite defensive player. We're competitive enough that we owe it to ourselves to see if Watson, now a year removed from 2 Achilles surgeries, can recapture the form that made him a 3-time Pro Bowler in Houston. But the moment you trade Myles Garrett, you pulled the foundation out from under that argument. You told the world, whether you meant to or not, that you're not in win-now mode. When you move Myles Garrett, you basically told us what it was, Bush said. You said, okay, this ain't what it is. We've got to figure some things out. We're going with the young. There is no universe where playing Deshaun Watson at this point makes sense. None. It's zero.
We're selling a quarterback competition, and it's like, okay, let's sell to Deshaun Watson. Let's see what he got. That's under the premise that you keep in Myles Garrett, and he's going to give you the best opportunity to win. When you move Myles Garrett, you basically told us what it was. You said, okay, this ain't what it is. We got to figure some things out. We're going with the young. There is no universe where playing Deshaun Watson at this point makes sense. None. It's zero. Like there is no the competition noise that should be gone. Because if you're gonna tell me you're gonna move Myles Garrett, and he's in his prime for what you can get, why are we interested in a reclamation project if somebody is 30 plus years old and you know you're not gonna sign them?
I'm gonna start singing.
So guess what? You play Shedeur Sanders. Both sides should be happy. You play Shedeur Sanders, and guess what? If he's good and he plays himself into a franchise quarterback, you got extra picks to work with. If he's bad, you know what it looks like because you gave him the opportunity with guys around, and he's going to have to pull the level up. The best way to see if you're a franchise quarterback is take all the props away and say, what did you elevate? And if you lose enough games, guess what? Then you can go get you another quarterback. But it makes no sense to be doing no charades with a quarterback competition at this point once Myles Garrett is gone.
And I advocated for trading him. I wrote last year they should have traded him. I agree with the decision to do it, but that doesn't mean you like it. It's a take your medicine day, really. And really what it is it is the most devastating part of Deshaun Watson not working out. This is what happens. This is where you land when you trade 3 first-round picks for Deshaun, when you give him the contract you gave him, when it's the swing and the miss that ownership called it. This is the collateral damage of that. We talked about it on the show yesterday, wrote about it yesterday in The Athletic. This is where you wind up, is having to trade a cornerstone Hall of Fame player, because now you got to do it all over again. And that's the most deflating part. I think, I get the anger from fans and the vitriol. I totally understand it. But that's the emotional side of it. The pragmatic side is, well, you got to try and build a team. You got to try and build a winner. So how are you going to do that? Well, the best way to go about doing that is trading him and getting the most value you can for him. And we'll get into the value later, because I do think they got quite a bit for him. I know a lot of people disagree with that. I think they got quite a bit.
I disagree with Jason Lloyd. I don't feel like they got enough.
Bush's argument wasn't just about Watson's limitations. It was about what the Browns owe themselves, and more importantly, what they owe Shedeur Sanders. Because if this team is genuinely transitioning into a youth movement, then there's only one logical move. Start Shedeur, let him play. Let him sink or swim. Give him the keys and find out, for real, whether the kid from Colorado can be the guy. Because if you're going to move a Hall of Famer in his prime, you'd better be doing it with a purpose. And that purpose has to be the future. Not a 30-year-old reclamation project on a contract that already went down as one of the worst in NFL history. The competition noise that should be gone, Bush said bluntly. You play Shedeur Sanders. If he's good and he plays himself into a franchise quarterback, you got extra picks to work with. If he's bad, you know what it looks like, because you gave him the opportunity with guys around him. And if you lose enough games, guess what? Then you can go get yourself another quarterback. Here's the thing about Deshaun Watson that everyone in Cleveland knows, but almost nobody in the building wants to say out loud. This whole situation, the Myles Garrett trade, the uncertainty at quarterback, the losing seasons, the rebuilding, all of it traces back to one decision, one swing, one miss. In March 2022, the Cleveland Browns traded 3 first-round picks and gave Deshaun Watson a fully guaranteed $230 million contract, the most fully guaranteed contract in NFL history at the time. Owner Jimmy Haslam himself has publicly called it a mistake. According to Mary Kay Cabot's reporting from late April 2026, Watson emerged from the Browns' voluntary minicamp with an edge over Sanders, getting the Lions' share of first-team reps and reportedly clicking well with Monken. The betting markets, as of late May, had Watson as a slight favorite at -144 compared to Sanders at +146 on FanDuel Sportsbook. But here's what the betting markets can't measure: opportunity cost. If you start Watson and he fails, which, given his track record over the last 4 years, is the most likely outcome, you've wasted another season of Shedeur Sanders' development. You've delayed the reset for nothing. You've kicked the can down the road one more time. The bigger question, the one that G. Bush laid out so clearly, the one that lingers over this entire franchise, is whether Cleveland will have the courage to do what needs to be done, to commit to Shedeur, to let him grow, to stop looking for shortcuts, to stop reaching back for the ghost of a Deshaun Watson who no longer exists. The Cleveland Browns are at the most critical crossroads in a generation. Myles Garrett is gone, traded to Los Angeles on June 1, 2026. Andrew Berry has denied the tank rumors firmly. But what he can't deny is that this team is in full reset mode, whether they call it that or not. G. Bush said the shocking truth that the media won't fully admit. Starting Deshaun Watson after trading Myles Garrett is not just unnecessary, it's counterproductive. And Shedeur Sanders, number 2, with his father in his corner, is quietly turning heads and winning hearts in a city desperate for a new hero. The stage is set, the question has been asked. Now it's time for someone to answer it on the field. Drop in the comments, should the Browns hand Shedeur Sanders the starting job outright, or does Deshaun Watson deserve one final chance to prove he can still play? And do you think Andrew Berry truly has a plan, or is this rebuild already heading off the rails before a single snap of 2026 has been played? If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications.